Well, here we are this morning. We have a special guest in the studio. As you can see, it is Hailey Best. And Hailey, it's great to have you with us. How are you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm fantastic.
Good.
You look great.
Well,
and
thank you.
Life is really, you're moving along very quickly here, aren't you?
Moving around very quickly, if that's what you mean, yes.
I tell you, you have moved to New York, New Jersey, that area?
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey.
Yep.
And where are you living there?
In Hoboken, New Jersey.
And what in the world are you doing in Hoboken?
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? Well, I'm actually working with a psychic medium named Tia Bell, and we actually have a show now on A&E that's coming up this Saturday night. So Jersey is definitely not my place to live as far as if I had a choice, but I'm 10 minutes from New York City.
Okay.
Just a train ride very quickly. I can be in Times Square in 10 minutes, so
Wow.
it's not bad at all. I have tons of friends up there, so
very
it's fun.
impressive. Everyone loves New York City.
Yes.
Times Square is...
yeah. Times Square is not my favorite place.
It's a little busy there, isn't it?
A little touristy for my taste.
Well, what led you to move to that area, to New York and that area?
You know, I started performing in musical theater, I guess I was 7, here in Goldsboro at Stage Struck Children's Theater. My first show was Charlotte's Web, and I was a baby spider number 6.
Oh.
And yes, very
Was
important.
that you?
It was. It was. If you remember my line, "Excuse me, are you trembling?" That was me, my first claim to fame.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
I figured you did.
Yeah.
But I grew up doing Stage Struck, so I did about, I don't know, somewhere between 17 and 20 shows with them maybe. Did that all the way through my junior year, did some shows with Center Stage and at Wayne Community College, and after that moved to Winston-Salem to finish high school at North Carolina School of the Arts, where I studied opera. And it kind of just all snowballed from there. Stage Struck gave me the bug, and after that I was hooked, and it was just, I have to be on stage, I have to be an entertainer, so that's the business, and New York's where you need to be. So that's how I ended up there.
And you have had several opportunities and jobs, or most of the jobs that you have had in New York, in that area?
Many of them have been. When I first moved to New York, that was in 2009, and I started by doing some commercials, and I did a soap opera, One Life to Live, on ABC, and did lots of fun stuff there. And after that, decided to come back and go to college, and then won Miss North Carolina. So it's kind of been a process, but now that I'm back in Jersey, I do a lot of jobs in New York, New Jersey, but I still travel. I come back to North Carolina to do shows with North Carolina Theater and with Cape Fear Regional Theater, Flat Rock Theater Company. North Carolina really is full of professional performance opportunities, and I think that we forget that sometimes, but North Carolina is one of my favorite places to come back and do shows, and so yes, it's nice to travel. I do a lot in New York, but it's always nice to come back to the South and have some little hospitality for a change.
Well, we're not saying New York is not hospitable, are we?
But North Carolina is much better.
Oh yeah, well this is home.
Yes, it is, and that's nice too.
But how did you, gee whiz, everybody's heard of A&E. A&E is one of the biggest networks out there. They have such great programming. How did you happen to get hooked up with A&E?
That's a good question. Actually, I had no clue that I was getting hooked up with A&E when I took this job with Tia.
Yeah.
Tia is the psychic medium on the show, and I'm her assistant in the shop. Her shop is called The Craft, and she actually was a CSI agent in the New Jersey police force for a while, and after that decided, you know what, I've had this gift my whole life, I'm going to actually use it. And I joke and say she's more of a therapist than a psychic, but people come into the shop all the time and get psychic readings, but I was looking for a day job in New York to keep me busy, and one that's flexible so I could take auditions. And my friends were like, you know, you should wait tables or go into catering or nannying. And I've never waited tables a day in my life. I always had jobs that I could interact with people more like on a customer service kind of basis rather than let me serve you food. And this job kind of just popped up, and a friend of mine said, you should go in for an interview. So I applied and got an interview and met Tia at her home the first time. And we just hit it off, and she was kind of skeptical of me because I was skeptical of her psychic abilities. But I told her I was open-minded and willing to learn, and she really liked that. So it's kind of a challenge for her, and now I'm an assistant to a psychic medium, and in the meantime, A&E had already been talking to her about, let's do a show.
Oh, okay.
So when I got this job at The Craft, I didn't know that I was going to be on a TV show, but a few weeks after I started there, we started filming. So it kind of all turned out perfectly for me.
So it was a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah, it was. Exactly.
You went with Tia first, and then it just happened to roll into a TV show.
That's right. And I had no clue that this had been in the works for about 3 years, since she did a psychic reading for one of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And the producers from that met her, fell in love with her, and gave her her own show. So, hey, it was kind of like falling into my lap, honestly, but right place, right time.
Wow. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
So the name of the shop that Tia operates or runs is called The Craft.
The Craft, exactly. And that's basically modeled after, this is her craft, this is her gift, you know, just like mine is music, that's my craft, or, you know, being in the arts, that's my craft. Yeah. Hers is being a psychic medium, so that's why she named it that.
So people come into the the craft, to the shop, and they talk to Tia, and they converse back and forth, and Tia tells them things, and what are you doing?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah,
a little bit of everything. I basically schedule her appointments, follow up with the clients, and when I take an appointment, I only get their first name and their phone number. So Tia knows nothing about them, and I usually know nothing about them unless they're somebody that just likes to tell me their life story for no reason. But I basically schedule the clients, greet them as they come in, and Tia, after the readings, often gives her clients homework or things to take home. It could be bracelets that have stones which have different properties, like you know, certain ones mean like peacefulness or serenity, or sometimes she'll give you a candle to burn or some sage to kind of clear the air in your home and make it a peaceful place. So I make sure that they get the proper things for their homework, I guess, and that's about it. Every once in a while I play Cinderella and have to clean up the shop, but that doesn't happen often because that's not my best gift, but you know, that's all right.
So are you actually present while Tia is doing the reading or working with the people? Are you actually in the room?
Not always.
Yeah.
Usually she has a reading room in the craft that she takes them in, and I have to shut the doors. I try to listen in on some that I think will be very interesting, but we actually do home visits sometimes. So we'll travel to the person's home. Often that's if she's doing a crossing over with a deceased loved one.
Wow.
We went to one house who had lost, a family had lost their 3-year-old to a brain tumor, and they wanted to basically have a crossing over with their son to find out, is he okay, where is he, what's he doing? And that was really interesting because as soon as we walked in the house, Tia could feel his presence. And she was already like, where are the airplanes? We have to go where the airplanes are. And that was in his little brother's room. And it's not, Tia's gift is not anything dark or scary or demonic. She says, this is a gift from God, and I'm using it to make people's lives better, to make them feel more at peace about the people that they've lost, to kind of communicate with the families so that they can kind of have a sense of peace and they can move on. Or the psychic readings are really more of a therapy session, and you know, it's really interesting to be able to travel to different places. We went to New Hope, Pennsylvania once, that is supposed to be the most haunted town in America, and went into a bed and breakfast that was actually a home during the Civil War.
Wow.
And while we were there were, you know, ghosts or whatever she calls them, spirits that she talked to that said, we're here not to harm any of the guests, but to watch over this bed and breakfast and just keep everybody safe. So it's really interesting. I got to learn a little history lesson about the Civil War, and you know, it's really cool. It's a fun job.
This experience has to be amazing to you.
It's bizarre. Is really the word to say.
Well,
yes.
Now, before you and Tia connected, were you a believer in this sort of thing?
Absolutely not. No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Not a believer at all.
No, not at all. And I kind of wondered about it, but I had never really been exposed to psychic mediums other than watching other shows and movies and stuff on TV. But being from Goldsboro, we don't see a lot of psychic mediums just around.
True.
The only one I had ever seen in person was in Atlantic City on the boardwalk when I was at Miss America. You know, so it wasn't anything I was familiar with, but I'm always the type of person that'll try anything once and just see what I think and make form my own opinion on it. And Tia she believes that she has this gift and that she's had it forever. And it's hard not to believe that she does have a gift, because I see people come in the shop feeling distressed or tense or worried about something, and they leave the shop feeling wonderful. Most of the time, I mean 99.9% of the time, they're a changed person. And so if nothing else, she's making their lives better, and that's all I can ask for. So.
Wow. So you were skeptical at first, but how do you really feel now? What do you think?
You know, some days I'm like, yes, I totally believe this. And other days I'm like, maybe not so much. But for the most part, I do believe that she has a gift. And I do believe that she helps people.
Wow. It's called Tia's...
It's called Psychic Tia is the show.
And it's on A&E.
It is.
The premiere show...
This Saturday night.
Saturday night at 10 p.m.
10 p.m., August 3rd, 10 p.m., and it'll be every Saturday night at 10 p.m. after that for, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. And it actually, this Saturday night airs right after Duck Dynasty. So I know we probably have some Duck Dynasty fans around here.
Yeah, okay. And so Duck Dynasty, stay tuned for Psychic Tia right after Duck Dynasty on A&E at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
Wow.
And we have actually a Psychic Tia Facebook page that people can like and follow progress throughout the show. And I have a fan page on Facebook. It's just Hailey Best, and I'll also be talking about some updates on the show and things that I'll be doing media-wise and PR. And I'll be traveling around North Carolina, too, to promote the show. But also, we will be live tweeting during the episodes, so you can follow.
You're kidding?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Kind of an interactive tweeting with our audience members, so they can follow me at MissNC11. I still have my Twitter from Miss North Carolina, but that's all right. So yeah, we'll be talking about what do you think about this part of the show, or what in the world did Tia just say, and how can you explain? You never know what's coming out of Tia's mouth. So it's sure to be an interesting show, that's for sure.
She seems to be, and I've looked at the trailer on the A&E website. She seems to be a rather unusual person.
She is. She's very much herself. What you see is what you get, and I love that. You never wonder, is Tia being somebody that she's not? Nope, she's always Tia, and she has such an interesting background because she was a police officer and she did autopsies and crime scene investigations, and I mean, she had a really cool job, and I've learned a lot about that. And then she decided to just stop that after she was really sick for a while and said, you know what, I've had this gift my whole life and I've never used it. I'm going to use it and I'm going to help people. And so it's really cool to learn a lot about her, and she's very, very, very different than me. So it's kind of like that polar opposite of Jersey girl meets Southern belle, I guess. And sometimes we butt heads and it's very heated, and other times it's really funny because I try to teach her some North Carolina charm, and it's she tries to teach me some Jersey lingo, and I don't do very well with that, but it's funny. We have a good time.
It sounds like a fascinating program. It sounds and here it is. It's reality. Yeah. Right here in little old North Carolina.
That's right.
Here with Hailey Best, who is now in New Jersey and working with Psychic Tia on Saturday evening at 10 o'clock on A&E Network. Thank you so much.
You so
Always
much.
great to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Hailey Best.